Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm Jason, and as always, I'm joined by the wonderful Julia.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm really excited about today's topic because it's one that can make a big difference as we approach the end of the year.
Absolutely, Julia. The year is almost over, and it's the perfect time to pause, reflect, and plan for the year ahead. Today, we're talking about end-of-year planning, what to do before 2025 arrives.
Yes, and let's be honest, many of us start the new year with resolutions or big goals, but we forget how important it is to prepare before the clock strikes midnight on December 31st.
Exactly. In this episode, we'll be sharing practical steps you can take to close out 2024 on a high note and start 2025 with clarity and confidence.
We'll cover everything from reflecting on your achievements, setting priorities, organizing your space, and even celebrating your wins. Plus, we'll talk about why it's so important to take time for yourself during this busy season.
So whether you're someone who loves planning or you're just looking for a few simple tips to feel more prepared for the new year, this podcast is for you.
Let's dive in and make sure you're ready to welcome 2025 with open arms and a clear mind.
All right, let's start with the first step in end-of-year planning, reflecting on the year. Julia, why do you think it's so important to look back before we move forward?
That's a great question, Jason. Reflection helps us understand what worked, what didn't, and how far we've come. It's like taking inventory. You can't plan for the future without knowing where you are and how you got there.
Exactly. And reflection isn't just about identifying mistakes. It's also about celebrating your wins. So let's talk about how someone can effectively reflect on their year.
One simple way is to ask yourself 3 key questions. 1. What were my biggest accomplishments this year? 2. What challenges did I face and how did I overcome them? 3. What lessons have I learned?
Those are great prompts. I'd add that writing your answers down can make a big difference. A journal or even a note on your phone can help you see patterns and track your growth over time.
Totally agree. And if you're not into writing, you can try reflecting with a friend or family member. Talking about your year with someone you trust can offer new perspectives and maybe even remind you of achievements you forgot about.
That's a good point. Sometimes we overlook small wins because we're focused on the big goals. But every step counts, right?
Absolutely. And while reflecting, it's important to be kind to yourself. This isn't about criticizing what you didn't do. It's about learning and growing.
I love that mindset. So to all our listeners, take some time to reflect on your year. It doesn't have to be a long process. Even 15 minutes can help you gain clarity and motivation for the future.
Yes. And once you've reflected, you're in a much better position to move on to the next step, which is setting your priorities and goals for 2025.
Now that you've taken some time to reflect on 2024, the next step is to identify your priorities and set goals for 2025. Julia, why is this step so crucial?
It's crucial because without clear priorities, it's easy to get overwhelmed or distracted. Setting goals gives you direction. It's like creating a roadmap for the year ahead. Without it, you're just wandering aimlessly.
That's a great point. And when it comes to setting goals, I think the biggest challenge is knowing where to start. Do you have any tips for that?
Definitely. Start by breaking your life into categories. Things like career, health, relationships, finances, or personal growth. Then ask yourself, what's the one thing I want to improve or focus on in each area?
I like that. It keeps things manageable. I've also found it helpful to use the SMART framework when setting goals. Make them specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Yes, the SMART framework is a game changer. For example, instead of saying, I want to be healthier, you could say, I want to exercise 3 times a week for 30 minutes each session by March. It's specific and actionable.
Exactly. Another tip I'd add is to align your goals with your long-term vision. Think about where you want to be in 5 or 10 years, and make sure your 2025 goals are steps toward that bigger picture.
That's so important. And let's not forget about prioritization. You can't do everything at once, so focus on what truly matters. A good way to do this is to ask yourself, if I could only accomplish one thing this year, what would it be?
I love that question. It forces you to get clear on what's most important. Also, don't forget to write your goals down. Studies show that people who write down their goals are much more likely to achieve them.
Yes, and keep your goals visible. Maybe put them on your desk, as a screensaver, or in your planner. It's a constant reminder to stay on track.
That's a great idea. So listeners, as you're planning for 2025, take some time to identify your top priorities and set clear, actionable goals. Trust me, you'll feel much more focused and ready to tackle the new year.
Absolutely. And once your goals are in place, the next step is to get organized and declutter so you can create the right environment to achieve them.
All right, now that you've set your goals, let's talk about creating the right environment to achieve them. Julia, why is organizing and decluttering such an important part of end-of-year planning?
Well, Jason, a cluttered space often leads to a cluttered mind. When your physical or digital environment is messy, it can be harder to focus on your goals. Decluttering creates a sense of clarity and helps you start the new year fresh and energized.
That makes sense. So where should someone start? I imagine it could feel overwhelming if things are really disorganized.
The key is to start small. Pick one area at a time, like your workspace, closet, or even your email inbox. For example, clear out old papers from your desk or delete unnecessary files on your computer.
Great tip. I'd also add that it's not just about getting rid of things. It's about organizing what you keep. For instance, you can create folders for your digital files or use bins and labels for physical items.
Yes, and if you're short on time, try the 15-minute rule. Spend just 15 minutes a day decluttering one area. You'd be amazed at how much you can accomplish in a week.
I like that. It makes the process feel less intimidating. Another thing to keep in mind is to focus on what adds value to your life. If something doesn't serve a purpose or bring you joy, it's time to let it go.
Exactly. And let's not forget about planning tools. Once your space is organized, use tools like planners, calendars, or task management apps to keep things on track. A clear environment paired with good planning can do wonders for your productivity.
Absolutely. So, to all our listeners, take some time to declutter and organize before 2025 arrives. It's a small step that can make a huge difference in how you approach your goals.
And with your space and mind cleared, you're ready to focus on the next step, planning for growth and making room for new opportunities.
Now that you've reflected, set your goals, and decluttered, it's time to talk about planning for growth in 2025. Julia, how do you define growth when it comes to personal development?
That's a great question, Jason. Growth is all about becoming a better version of yourself, whether that means learning new skills, taking on challenges, or stepping out of your comfort zone. It's about progress, not perfection.
I love that. And when it comes to planning for growth, I think it's important to focus on both professional and personal development. For example, what skills or knowledge do you want to gain in the coming year?
Absolutely. You can start by identifying areas where you feel there's room for improvement. Maybe you want to improve your communication skills, develop a new hobby, or even build healthier habits. Once you know what you want to work on, break it down into manageable steps.
Yes, breaking it down is key. Let's say you want to improve your communication skills. You could start by taking an online course, reading a book on the topic, or joining a local speaking club. It's all about consistent effort.
And don't forget to track your progress. Whether it's through journaling, using an app, or setting milestones, tracking helps you stay motivated and see how far you've come.
That's a great point. I'd also add that planning for growth isn't just about adding new things to your life. It's about making space for them. Sometimes that means letting go of habits or commitments that no longer serve you.
Exactly. Growth requires focus, and that means being intentional with your time and energy. One tip I'd recommend is creating a growth calendar for 2025. Block out time for learning, reflection, and self care. It's like scheduling your priorities.
I love that idea. And remember, growth doesn't happen overnight. Be patient with yourself and celebrate small wins along the way. Every step you take is progress.
So true. And one last thing, surround yourself with people who inspire and challenge you. Having a supportive community can make a huge difference in your growth journey.
Absolutely. So, as you plan for growth in 2025, think about what skills you want to develop, what habits you want to build, and how you can create a supportive environment to make it all happen.
And with that, you'll be well on your way to a fulfilling and productive year. Now, let's move on to the final step, celebrating your accomplishments and setting the tone for 2025.
As we wrap up this episode, let's talk about something that's often overlooked during the busy end of year planning, celebrating your wins and taking time to relax. Julia, why is it so important to take a moment to celebrate before jumping into the new year?
It's important because as we reflect on the year, we often focus on what we didn't accomplish. But celebrating your wins, big or small, reminds you of how much you've achieved. It boosts your confidence and gives you the energy to tackle the year ahead.
Exactly. Celebrating doesn't have to be a big event. It could be as simple as acknowledging your progress, treating yourself to something special, or spending quality time with loved ones. It's about recognizing your hard work and giving yourself credit.
And let's not forget about relaxation. This time of year can be overwhelming with all the planning, organizing, and goal setting. Taking time to relax, recharge, and do things you enjoy is crucial for your well-being. You can't give your best if you're constantly running on empty.
That's so true. So, as we approach the end of 2024, I encourage everyone listening to take a deep breath, reflect on the wins, and allow yourself some well-deserved rest.
Absolutely. When you take the time to celebrate and relax, you're setting a positive tone for the new year. One of balance, self-compassion, and growth.
So, let's enter 2025 feeling proud of what we've accomplished and ready to continue growing. And with that, we've come to the end of today's episode.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. We hope this episode has helped you feel more prepared for the year ahead.
Remember, take it one step at a time, celebrate your progress, and most importantly, relax and enjoy the journey. We'll see you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone, and happy planning for 2025.
Before we wrap up today's episode, we just want to say thank you for joining us. We hope you're feeling inspired and ready to tackle the new year with clear goals, a fresh mindset, and a sense of purpose.
Absolutely. But before we go, we've got a little favor to ask. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe sound button so you never miss an episode of the Pre-C Personal Growth Talks podcast. We've got so many more exciting topics coming your way in 2025.
And if you found today's content helpful, share it with a friend or family member who could benefit from it. You never know who might be looking for some motivation to kickstart their new year.
Also, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment or send us a message on social media with your thoughts on today's episode, or let us know what your goals for 2025 are. We love hearing from our listeners and supporting you along your journey.
And lastly, don't forget to take a moment for yourself today. Reflect on your wins, set your priorities, and give yourself the gift of relaxation. The new year is just around the corner, and you're ready for it.
Thanks again for tuning in, and we can't wait to continue this journey of growth with you in 2025. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Happy planning, everyone.